Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Most people believe that success is some grand, life-changing moment that arrives suddenly like a bolt of lightning striking the ground. But in reality, it's the small steps, taken one after another, that build the path to our dreams. For Emma, it was those small, consistent steps that changed her life forever. Emma had always dreamed of starting her own business. A small bookstore, a quiet place where people could lose themselves in stories, a refuge from the rush of the world. But for years, she put the dream on hold. The fears of failure, the overwhelming thought of how big the task would be, kept her from taking that first step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. She had always told herself that one day, when the time was right, she would start. But days turned into months and months into years. And yet, her dream remained just that, a dream. One night, as Emma sat on the couch, scrolling through social media, she stumbled upon a post by an entrepreneur she admired. It read, "The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now." That line hit her like a wave. What am I waiting for? She thought. What's holding me back? It was then that Emma made a decision. The fear was never going to disappear and the obstacles would never stop coming. But she could no longer wait for the perfect moment. She had to begin. Do not wait to strike till the iron is hot, but make it hot by striking. The next morning, Emma woke up early and set to work. She didn't know exactly where to start, but she knew that every step, no matter how small, would bring her closer to her goal. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. She began by researching. She wrote down ideas, contacted suppliers, and started designing the layout for her bookstore. She wasn't waiting for a perfect plan, she was acting. The first few weeks were tough. Emma faced a mountain of decisions, big and small. Where would she find the right books? How would she get funding? How could she even compete with the giant corporate bookstores? But each day, she took one small step. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. She reached out to local authors, invited them to share their stories, and started creating a community, one interaction at a time. And then, slowly, things began to fall into place. Emma found the perfect location for her bookstore. It was small but charming, in the heart of the city, surrounded by people who shared her love for stories. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow is our doubts of today. She got her first shipment of books. They were nothing like the glossy, commercialized editions from chain stores. These were personal, curated, and unique. Each book told a story just like the one Emma was telling through her business. As her bookstore began to take shape, Emma encountered challenges she hadn't expected. There were days when sales were slow and she questioned whether she was making the right decision. But she reminded herself it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. She wasn't looking for instant success. She was focused on building something that would last. One day, a customer walked in and told Emma how much they loved her store, how it felt like a sanctuary from the world outside. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. That moment, that simple compliment, was all Emma needed to realize that her small steps had led her exactly where she needed to be. Months passed and the bookstore flourished. What once felt like an impossible dream was now a thriving reality. Emma had gone from dreaming of the store to seeing it full of customers, books, and a community that shared her passion. She had learned something valuable. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. It wasn't about the size of the store or the number of books she sold. It was about the impact she was making, the connections she was forming, and the joy she felt every time someone left with a book in their hands. Looking back, Emma saw how far she had come, and she knew that it was the small steps that had gotten her here. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. She didn't need to take giant leaps or make huge, bold moves to see her dream come true. All she needed was to take one step at a time, to keep moving forward even when the way was uncertain. As Emma stood in her bookstore one quiet evening, watching the last customer leave with a smile on their face, she whispered to herself, "Success is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure." She had put in the work, and though the journey wasn't over, it had been worth every small step she had taken.